Hey everyone, Espira, and welcome back to the Super Combo Podcast. As usual, I'm joined by our co-host Chris of UniX. Chris, how you doing today?
I'm all right. I am all right. We got spoilers coming in mass. We've got I don't really know what else there is actually. That was kind of all I got. We got spoilers coming in mass, and we got discussion about said spoilers, and I think that's really kind of where we're at right now in the community. It's a little too early to talk about a competitive season. We're pretty much at the point where we can start building decks. I really think the only thing we're missing is like the rest of the Zamasu archetype. I think we got full set spoilers. Um, it's gonna be a little weird though. Like this is gonna be the longest amount of time we've ever had between complete spoilers and actually having the set out. So all I want to say to everybody is if competitive season rolls around and you don't know what deck you're playing yet, just sheer laziness. Just
it's
sheer laziness.
well, that's the thing with me though, and like I do it on purpose. I don't test anything before the competitive, like before the cards land. I actually don't test anything, and my biggest reason for that is because we end up getting reveals so early that I feel like if I start testing things the month and a half before we ever actually get the cards, already I'll start to feel the staleness of the set as I start playing with the real cards. So I like to keep it fresh specifically for the fact that like I just want to experience the set when it comes out as opposed to feeling like I've seen everything there is to see before getting in there. But at the same time, I'm also like a content creator, so like for me I play in regionals and stuff like that to meme more so to like than like trying to top every single tournament I play in, like to play a super competitive deck. So I guess from that end my perspective is a little different, but I don't know. I this is gonna be long because like already this format feels stale. Now I'm not saying it's bad. It's a skill intensive format, but it is starting to feel stale.
See, I feel like if they don't touch Icarus hard enough, it's gonna be stale. But it's kind of wild because like I won't front. I've been testing this set quite a lot, like quite a lot. And what I've been finding is that if Icarus stays the way it is, ah, it's sad. It's
Yeah,
gonna be real sad for
it's
you guys. But if Icarus gets touched, if it gets diddled a little bit, then actually like almost every deck that came out of this set can be played without feeling like you're a dingus for sleeving it up, which is something I could not say for Sand Showdown, like in my wildest dreams.
yeah. There's a few archetypes. There's a few like there's avenues of play here that are not just the SR. So I will say I think the SR quality is lower in the set, but in general the archetypes are way more fleshed out and they feel like you said, like you can take them to the table and like not feel like an idiot doing so, right? Um, So I think, and even now this week the spoilers we got lend themselves really well to that kind of ideal, which is really exciting. Mind you, half of them are yellow, but like nevertheless, I do think, and that'll actually be one of our quick topics once we go over the spoilers. Is basically like Banlist predictions. Where are we sticking to? What do we want to see the format change? And I guess. Because they haven't, like you said, they haven't even made like organized play announcement yet. So like we don't. I would assume organized play will kickstart back up in February, something like that. But even then, when organized play kicks off, it's going to be a Sane Showdown meta. You know, we're not getting now that the set's been delayed till March, we're not seeing God of the Realm of the Gods until afterwards. So for whatever players are getting comfortable, even though we don't have announcements yet, I feel like probably this week, once they're done revealing everything, we'll probably get either like a ban list post of when it's supposed to happen, or an organized play post, and see like what the plans are for 2022. So. Um, but for the moment, it's just a lot of speculation, a lot of hey, here's new cards. Let's enjoy new cards. Let's talk about decks. And then banlist predictions because everyone's saying like, what do you do with yellow? And I think we can save that until afterwards. But nevertheless, there are a ton of cards to talk to. They wrapped up the green, but the only thing we got there is a Kaba SR. So like, I'm gonna leave that behind and jump into the two new colors that
Hey,
got.
whoa,
You
Kaba
want to talk?
SR.
Did they not? Yeah, the green Kaba SR that they got.
What?
So we might as well. Okay, so to wrap up green Kaba. Oh, never mind. It's an uncommon. It looked like an SR.
Okay, I was
I.
confused. I was like, what did I miss? But keep
No,
going.
no, no. I'm on the good. I guess the most exciting thing that green got was this like blue green like frost line. Like I guess it was kind of like a cool line. Um, But basically, the biggest things we got this past week is blue got reveals, like I think all of blue got revealed. We
Hmm.
got yellow reveals, and we're still going through those this week. And we got the last secret rare, with like a slew of like the rest of like the black commons and stuff, which was their way of saying like, hey guys, by the way, sets being delayed, so here's a secret rare.
Hey.
But yeah, so let's kick off with the secret rare, and then we can talk about blue, and then we'll go ahead and jump on to yellow. So the final secret rare, and this basically confirms to me that Vegeta has to be the god rare, is
Yeah, I kind of.
Supreme Kai of Time Brainwashed. And she looking kind of thick.
You said it confirms that Vegeta's the god rare, but I mean, look, if we get a freaking ghost rare titty mage, that's kind of game. Like, I dare I say, ghost rare titty mage will sell harder than ghost rare SSB Vegeta or Rebel Power.
you know, I had never considered when last episode, when I was talking about how like Vegeta is like guaranteed as like secret rare unless it's a Goku. I had never considered the titty tax. And now that it's here. But yep. 8 cost, 1 specified black, 40k, 10k combo for 1. Ultimate double strike servant, which is funky. Basically making it a 50k. Activate battle for 1 black, specified black. If you have 3 or more energy, play this card from your hand. So this is very much tied to black decks, especially when you have the activate main battle for 1 of any color for some reason. If your leader card is black and you remove this card from the game, until the start of your next turn, your opponent can't attack with battle cards or using cards unless they choose 1 card from their life and place it in their drop area each time. So basically a hard topo, but very specific to black. It's essentially Hatch. Though they can still attack with their leader, so at least there's that. Here's the thing. This card's cool. It's interesting. It's kind of funky. But I don't see us playing this over Pan, over the regular Supreme Kai, because at least that one wipes the board. But this one does swing for 50k double strike, so it's more aggressive. But I don't think black decks are running this at the moment. They might, and there might be a world where a couple might feel like they're better and more advantageous to do so. Especially since Servant means you can put her back in the deck and start looping her if you happen to have some Overlord stuff. But I don't think I'm seeing this one being played at the moment.
Okay. So here's my hard take. And you know what? Every time I get on this podcast with dear old George, I think of a video which I can do, and I recorded that night, and it's good for me because it's a video I wouldn't have thought about otherwise. I think there are more merits to this than I originally looked at. So in terms of cost, it is the same amount to play on board as Kai, but you have to pay 1 more to get its effect. That being said, when you play with Kai, it only stops Unison and battle, or Unison and leaders, so battle cards can still just have their way with your Chiefs. Whereas this card is going to put a firm, like, do you have, like, if you have 4 life, do you think you can finish me in 4 attacks? And also, do you think I have any negates at hand? Because if you swing and pay a life just to get negated, you are going to feel negative 300 IQ play. So that's the thing. It has 1 extra cost for the ability to be a harder stop. However, Pan is free, and Pan can stop all battle cards. But of course, leaders in Unison start squeaking by. But Pan also doesn't stop the attack. None of these really stop the attack. Now, my one thing about this card that's kind of interesting is, one, when you play Kai defensively, Kai still has to survive to your next turn. And as we all know, there are a lot of cards that can prevent that from happening. A whole lot of cards. It's actually kind of ridiculous. This card is different in the sense that both plays are activate battle.
Yeah.
So you can play it, and if they don't counterattack it, I'm fairly certain you can pay the cost once it comes into play and just get the effect off. So yes, it's 2 energy, but you're going to be able to slide this in. And the coolest part about you being able to use both effects like that is it's like, well, this one doesn't really have a wipe effect. Like, there's so much to go into. It's not proactive like Kai is. Kai, you could play it defensively to stop you in some weird pinch situations. You can play it aggressively. If it survives the defensive play, you can wipe your opponent's board. This thing is interesting because it's going to do all its work on your opponent's turn and then be able to turn sideways for a 50k, double strike. You don't have to really fear kind of like being screwed about it because of that. But also, something that's actually interesting is that this card on its own does what Champa Kai or Champa Pan was gonna do at the cost of costing one energy, which for Kai is just like a break even. It's the same exact thing. But for Pan, you're paying one more extra energy, but it comes with the Champa. So if your opponent's in a position where they weren't going to survive Kai Champa or Pan Champa, they're not going to survive this. In fact, it's 10k higher and it's got double strike. So it's very interesting. I think it's going to be very format dependent, but its floodgate is stronger for costing one more. But in exchange for that, yeah, there's a lot. I don't think it's as simple as writing it off, but I definitely don't think you'd auto lose by including this over Pan and the other thing. I think there are some definite different like effects or different decks that'll do kind of different things. Like for Gogeta Zeno, they might like Pan or Kai, but for Trunks and Gogeta Zeno, there's so much removal, single target removal in that deck. The warping of Kai is kind of discounted. Like it's not as valued simply because those decks will start picking off your board, and if you can't answer their cards, they're going to answer your cards every turn they turn sideways. So I don't know. There's a lot to dig into this deck or this card, and I can't wait to actually make a video on it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I'm very quick to write off because like to me it's just like in the sense it's just like it's better than costing one or two. It's free. but but nevertheless I do think it's very much like I think there are places where the meta call can like first off it's not as generic as either of those two. We are only talking strictly about black decks for what it's worth. But I will say one of the things to note about is that like if we take a step back and we talk about the dichotomy between Pan and the regular Supreme Kai, what's funny enough is that in a meta where everyone's running Pan, Kai is actually better. And then in a meta where Kai sees way more play, then you can switch over to Pan. Like it's funny, but they basically alternate each other in terms of which one does best for the other. Because if Pan is amazing, that means boards are flooded, and then if boards are flooded, that means you want a board wipe. Otherwise, and then once everyone plays Kai, well, then there's no reason to play Kai because everyone's playing around boards. So it's this funny bounce and forth. And then in that, bounce between the two of them, I think this might be somewhere where for Black Deck, Supreme Kai of Time, Brainwashed might be able to fit in and provide like a triangle sort of thing where we could see, at least for Black Decks, alternating between secret rares based on where the meta is shifting. So like I agree with you. I think there's more to it. But nevertheless, I don't think one is just not as generic. So there's only so many black decks I see play. But additionally, it'll probably just depend on where they feel the meta is before making a call on that one. But for what it's worth, like you said, the floodgate's super strong. If you don't plan on killing me in 4 swings, well, then you're just gonna kill yourself. So you best either stop or make sure you can actually do it.
Yeah, you're gonna put yourself in chopper range. And also I think something that kind of floated into my mind when you were talking is right now most of our black decks are low to the ground and they play on curve. And in a deck that plays on curve, Supreme Kai of Time Brainwashed is not going to feel as good as Pan. That's actually why Pan is so good for all these decks, because most decks right now play on curve. Of course, Blue has Baby Hatch, but you look at the decks that are mana or energy intensive, Gogeta Zeno, energy intensive. Like, yes, some of your plays are only 1 energy, but you're only really getting a 3, sometimes 4 energy. You look at things like wow, I'm blanking now, like Vegeta with Bardock's Crew, very energy intensive. All these decks are going to value a free floodgate secret rare. But if you were to ever play a deck that had a higher curve, that was more responsive, like Sin Shenron may actually like a card like this a little better. They may be actually able to, now granted, you're going to bottom deck it far too often, discard it far too often, but a deck that like may sit on its energy and wait for you to come to it in black would probably like this a lot more as a leader, which means that maybe Trunks in a world where you might play more than 50 because those mills get hella wild. Trunks from the new set may actually like this card because there are plays where you can sit there and as long as your field doesn't get addressed, you're not doing anything with your energy on your turn. There's no reason to invest more just to get nuked. So yeah, it's kind of weird. I think that right now this doesn't have a place, but it's only a matter of time until we get another Hatchiac type black deck, and in that case, this card would be goaded.
Yeah, I really. Yeah, I like that point. Like, it almost reminds me a little bit of like, because I actually got asked this question earlier today, It's like, what decks would you look to play the Wicked Saints in? And I'm like, well, any deck that's looking for a fifth Ribrianne, to be honest, is probably. And then actually, this Secret Rare is actually remind me of like, yeah, like you said, maybe black decks are looking to slow down the tempo of the game a little. Maybe this is the the card for the black deck that wants the fifth floodgate. And then it alternatively has additional usage from there. That could be it. Like you're still spending two energy anyways, and it's going to be preventing your opponent from coming in. And maybe that's just what the deck needed to be able to pop off on its turn 6 or 7. So yeah, I think that's actually like a really good consideration in terms of like what we could do or what decks in the future could be looking to use the card. And that's pretty much it for the secret rare. Of course, we do have 2 colors to cover in terms of releases or reveals over the week. So the first one is a Bootleg Soul Striker, Son Goku, 10k, activate battle. If this card is in a battle and you choose one Saiyan card in your hand and discard it, you draw a card, then add up to 1 card from your life to your hand and negate this skill for the battle. So it's not once per turn. You get to do it over and over and over again. It's like, well, why are you trying to drain your life so much? Well, awaken when your life is at 2 or less, or you place 5 Saiyan cards under this card from your drop area. You get to draw 3 cards, switch on your energy tactic mode, and flip it over. Wild. And then on the awakened side, we have SSG Son Goku Crimson Warrior, which like it's a shame this leader is IMO kind of as miserable as he is, because like this is a very pretty card. Auto, when this card attacks, you get to draw a card, then switch up to 1 of your mono blue energy to active mode, so it's a half invoker, a half soul striker. And then activate battle once per turn. You have to place X cards from under this card in its owner's drop area. It's very thematic. You use 5 because it took 5 Saiyans to turn Goku into a god. And then this card gets 2k power for the battle for each card placed in a dropper using the skill. And then if you place 3 or more cards in the dropper using the skill, you get to draw a card and then switch 1 of your mono blue energy to active mode. I think they're going to ban Soul Striker because they made this card.
I think it's a damn shame that we haven't seen cards that actually put cards underneath the leader. Like, if I have misread something, please let me know. But I went to the card list. I went to blue cards and I searched put under and saw all the cards that said put under. They're all archetype specific. There's some Kales. There's some like I cannot for the life of me find out how in this deck you awaken early or on time or not in chomper range. Like, this shit is devastating. Like, I keep trying to make sense of it, and it's not helping me make sense of it. So that's disappointing in its own. The funny part is, outside of the awakening, I really like the leader. Like, the leader is dude.
He's a half soul striker. That's all it is.
Well, look. He's a half soul striker on the front. And then on the back, he can go full soul striker if you just detach cards from him.
Yeah, so 9 times out of 10, he's a half soul striker, especially since
he's like.
And then you only get the double untap 1 time, because like you said, there's no way to put cards under him, and the only way you're getting the untap is if you pitch 3 of them out of the 5.
Look, bro.
Yeah, yes.
First off, I think you're getting ahead of yourself, because I don't even know how you put those first 5 on there. Let's be clear first. 1 time. So far, it looks like a fat whopping 0 times. However, look, the leader is. Let me just look at this again. First off, his activate battle is cool. He can self awaken like a mug. Okay. All right. Draw a card and add up a card. That's a +2. Every time he gets swung on, that's a plus. It's a +1. Every time you get swung on, that's a +1. And you're feeling the graveyard for Sparky. I think that's actually really cool. It's just that 2 life, bro. Like,
right?
How does he get cards under him? This is the mystery. Like, I will pay somebody to figure out how this crap works, because I could not find it. And it's just crazy. Now, that being said, like, he's not a half soul striker. He's a 2/3 soul striker. He draws 1 and he untaps 1. That's
okay.
So 2 out of the 3 things. But if you detach from him, and if we could finally figure out, and it's not like 2 TP cards, Lord help me if it's 2 TP cards.
It has to be TPs at this point. I don't know what the heck else it would be.
If this deck allows you to put cards under him reliably, it's gonna be nasty because when you use his activate battle card, he's like Soul Striker on cocaine. Like he literally is drawing two, untapping two,
And
which
it
is
does it, and you can untap on your opponent's turn. Like, there's that,
that's funny.
right?
The question is how. Just
Yeah,
how.
and at this point they revealed all the blue cards or almost all of them. So like it has to be a TP, right?
Mm.
Uh,
You know how we feel about TPs getting like effects like this.
yeah, the one where the whole deck doesn't work without it.
Ban Soul Striker. Make the new Soul Striker only work if you have TPs.
Bro,
Genius.
yo, we have Soul Striker at home. Soul Striker at home costs $400 because you
Oh
need
yeah.
4 TPs.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Get it.
yeah.
It'll be just like when play sets of heroic prospects were like cash money.
Yeah. So like that's the thing. Like I just it's a which is fine. Like maybe Soul Striker from the get go probably should have been a little bit more archetypal. He's insanely generic, and there's no reason to run any other leader 9 times out of 10. So like fine, if you want the Soul Striker effect to live on, and it's kind of what they've done with a lot of cards here. Like we've seen Poutine effects, and I think, and we can talk more about this when we talk Banlist at the end. But like Poutine has gotten like 2 different cards that do the Poutine thing. It's almost guaranteed that they're probably going to get rid of Poutine in the ban list. It feels like this is a similar trend with this Goku, where they're trying to do Soul Striker quote unquote correctly, but I don't know. It's just tough, especially since I don't think this, like if you get rid of Soul Striker and you bring in this, I think blue just sits in green territory for a while, where like the color just doesn't see play. But nevertheless,
People love blue too much.
that's true. People, I'll force it because I love blue. So
even if it's doo-doo.
Yep. Alternatively, we did get a Whis archetype. Now this one boggles my mind. 10k activate main. Switch this card to rest mode. You draw a card, and then you play up to 1 blue or yellow skillless battle card with 15k power from your deck, or drop it in your opponent's battle area in rest mode. Shuffle your deck if you look through it, and then he awakens at 3 life. What is with these low life totals this set, man? When you look at 3 or less, or your opponent's leader card back is facing up. So basically, if your opponent's awakened, you get to draw 2 cards and then flip them over. On the awakened side, you have Whis Invitation to Battle. The 15k auto once per turn. When one of your Beerus cards attacks and KOs an opponent's battle card, switch up to one of your blue Beerus cards in your energy to active mode. With an activate main, switch this card to rest mode, draw 1 card, then play up to 1 blue or yellow skillless battle card with 15k power from your drop area in your opponent's battle area in rest mode. I'm gonna just come out and say, so like I'm not gonna look at every single Whis archetypal card, but basically the way that the Whis archetype works is that it's a KO based archetype. Who the heck is KOing cards in blue? Of all things, why do we have KO cards and cards that care about KO in blue? This shit boggles my mind.
So you haven't been looking at these Beerus cards.
No, the Beerus is super solid. Don't get me wrong. I think the Beerus card is actually like rocking. It is a solid card. The SR is pretty dope. The blue yellow one's actually like pretty cracked. But nevertheless, it's I just don't see it, man. Like I get it. You're playing. Whis plays the target on board so that you can go off and do it. But like I don't know, man. This feels janky.
No, I mean, look, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Okay. Whis. See, look. Here's the thing. First off, Whis is a turn 2 awakener. All right. You may think it's not, but it is.
Because your opponent awakens on turn 2.
Exactly. You're never going to awaken on turn 3 life. Your opponent's going to awaken, and Whis is going to be like, all right, bet. Like, I guess I need to just get a little stronger too. Like, you got stronger. Let me put on the gas a little bit. So Whis is going to do what Whis is going to do. And then on top of that, Whis is thinning out your deck for the first probably 2 turns. He's actually a +2 because he's going to be he's a filter 2. He's a +1. He's giving you a card in hand. He's going to be pulling 2 cards out of your deck total. That's pretty neat. He's giving your opponent targets or your opponent cards on board for you to target with your KO effects with the Beerus. And the KO effects on Beerus are pretty strong. But the fact that when you do KO something, you're going to be able to untap an energy allows you to play blue's game very, very strong. Like, you're going to be able to tap, draw, play a card from your grave, swing on it, or make a play, swing on it, and then untap more. So, I mean, that's pretty wild. Not to mention the Beerus Ruthless Pursuer. That dude, if he KOs the card, then you're going to literally untap 2 energy.
Hmm.
Like Soul Striker who? No, I'm kidding. But they're really just trying to make Soul Striker work for it.
Right.
And I think that's actually like super important. Um and then they're not making it like hard. Like they put an MF counter like, counter. If like I saw that, I don't care how restricted it is. I'm like absolutely not. The fact that they're gonna give you a free 15k, you're gonna be like, oh, all right. They're gonna summon this 20k beers and swing. You're gonna be like, all right, I'll raise you on counter. Absolutely not. And they're gonna play this carefully playtime. They're going to switch up to one of their blue energy to active mode. You're gonna get your card clapped. And then they're gonna switch 2 more energy active mode, and you're gonna start spazzing like I will start foaming from the mouth. The moment I try to use a freaking negate, my opponent slaps my hand and untaps 3. I will foam. That shit is ignorant.
That's.
I don't know why. Like I saw counter on blue. I was like, did blue get a counter before red did? I'm sick.
Red's got a counter. It just only
It's
hits
red yellow.
No, it's got a red one. It only hits like the King Vegeta one.
Nope. Nope. Okay.
Yeah,
Pay 1 energy, don't sparking. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Exactly.
Nah, we're good. We're gonna be okay. That one ain't it, Chief.
Yeah. So the Beerus's that work alongside Whis, and actually the Beerus's are just solid cards across the board. But we got a blue yellow one, and we got the SR, the blue one. So the blue yellow one, which is actually one that combos really well with like Soul Striker and Grand Priest. Beerus Competitive Impulse is a 2-cost, 1 yellow, 1 blue, 10k for 1, 16k double striker, where when he's played, you get to choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. And then auto once per turn, when this card attacks and KOs an opponent's battle card, you get to draw a card, switch this card to active mode, and then place one card from your opponent's life to the bottom of their deck. So you're burning them, and then you're swinging again with a double striker. This card is incredibly degenerate. It's ridiculous. It plays really well in a Soul Striker Grand Priest combo, especially since with Soul Striker you can get the activate battle twice. Once on your turn, once on your opponent's turn. So you're basically untapping 2 energy with the Grand Priest, and then you're able to do shenanigans like play Beerus for free and then play another one. And it's just it's very, very, very strong.
Yeah, it's alright. No, I'm kidding, it's strong. It's really strong.
And then alternatively, we have Beerus Ruthless Pursuer, 4-cost, 2 specified blue, 10k for 1, 20k double striker, auto limit 1. When this card attacks and KOs an opponent's battle card, switch this card and up to 1 of your blue energy to active mode. And then auto limit 1. If your lead card is blue and this card is in your combo area, when one of your blue battle cards attacks and kills an opponent's battle card, draw 1 card, then play this card from your combo area. So you can play him for 1 if you swing in and actually KO something. And then if he happens to KO something, you get the benefit that you get your double striker back and you get an extra energy. Don't get me wrong, the cards are good. It's just kind of funky to me that we care about KOing in blue. It very much feels like blue is encroaching on green's color identity in that sense, I guess, is my biggest thing.
It is. All right. If these KO'd cards by effect, I would 100% agree. It's weird because it's pushing blue in a punchy direction, and that I don't like. It's kind of weird because blue, I feel like, just, it's a little bit more defensive. But these are weird because they encourage KOing, but the yellow ones are all like, I swing and sometimes I just pop shit. These guys are like, I swing and if I kill something, which is honestly really weird because they don't give it destruction through effect, and that would be like hella green. But it's also a bunch of Beerus cards requiring that he destroys stuff, and that's really cute. It's very cute.
It's very thematic, yes.
But I don't know. It's going to be a different kind of blue deck. The issue is when you give a color like blue good offense, you make a problem because blue is currently pretty much the best. Well, yellow is the best color at defending themselves, but blue is like a close second. Blue still has like essentially one of the most pivotal secret rares in the game.
Yeah, I can tap out and prevent you from attacking all turn anyways.
D Magic going brazy. Like, if you start splashing with the yellow, you're gonna get into the realm of Kale getting in your cheeks for no reason. Or sorry, Kefla getting in your cheeks for no reason. That's actually the card name, by the way, in case you don't know. It's literally Kefla getting your cheeks for no reason.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just kind of weird. At this point, I'm like, Hmm. It scares me to see offense in blue like this because blue will be able to hold on to their life very, very well. And if they get cards that punch you, it's just going to be an all around, very, very well rounded deck. So
That's
we'll
gonna
see how it
be.
plays out.
I'm
But
extremely
again,
excited.
for real, again, none of this matters if Icarus stays the same way it is.
True. Because Robotic Riposte is a good card. Power of Super
None of,
Saiyan's a
the,
good card.
none of these
Slug.
MFers got
Sl-
deflect. So like, congratulations. I hope you love these guys coming into play tap.
Yep, pretty much. But nevertheless, they're like super solid. And then the last SR that really rounds out like things that we've gotten in blue is Miraculous Transformation. Now this one's interesting. It's powerful, but I think people are way too hyped on it than more hyped on it than it probably warrants. It's a 6 cost. It's got 3 specified blue. It's a 20k. It has all the keywords for what it's worth. It's deflect, triple striker, barrier. It's got unique, so you're only getting one on board. And it's a counter attack. Negate the attack and play this card in rest mode. And during your opponent's turn, you get to reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1 for each card in your opponent's energy. So on turn 3 beyond, it is a 3 cost. With another permanent where if your leader card is a mono blue and this card is in rest mode, your opponent's battle cards can't attack leader cards. So effectively making it a deadly defender. But he's a 20k triple striking deadly defender. And he's got barrier, he's got deflect, he's got all the good keywords. I don't know. It's like a lot of people are saying, hey, this is incredibly good because then you can play this card and negates the attack, and then your opponent has to attack into this thing, and then when they try to deal with it, we can like bean it and dimension magic. And then I'm like, you guys are adding a lot of extra steps. Like, not only did that cost you 3 energy to get this whole situation going, but now we're in a position where, and like, here's the thing, this might be one of those things where maybe like I'm thinking too critically of it, and like in action, it turns out it works out better than it does. But I'm in this like headspace where I'm like, I don't know, because I feel like for 3 energy, I could have done a lot instead of just negating an attack and then trying to protect this one battle card. It is nice though, it's the deadly defender that's a finisher, but nevertheless, it still feels like it's overhyped in my opinion. Because like in ramp decks, it'll be incredibly good. Don't get me wrong. Like I think if you're playing SS4 or Gogeta ramp or anything like that, you can totally afford to run this card. But in your typical blue decks, I think that's a lot of energy to just hold back to create a deadly defender.
I'm gonna put it out this way to the masses, okay? You need to close your eyes right now and ask yourself, would I pay 3 energy for? And you can stop right there. Because it's not like, you even need to know the effect. Like 3 energy is just hefty in this game right now. Now, 3 energy on offense to push somebody's like face in, that's one thing. 3 energy on defense to negate an attack and maybe stop other attacks. Let's be real. Like if somebody wants to combo on a 20k, they'll combo on a 20k. And if you want to pay 3 energy and then sparking negate to untap energy, and then on top of that start playing stuff to keep like, dude, by any means, this card was like a reverse Ribrianne. Like you just ripped like 4 cards out of your hand to keep this idiot on board. But also keep in mind that like it's got as many keywords as it has. It also has a lot of weird faults. If red becomes a good part of the format again, you know what's coming to the format? Broly Crown of Retribution. And you know what's going to be crowned like some shit? A 20k that requires you to keep 3 energy. Like you were about to not play on your turn to set up for this card just for somebody on the other end of the table to pay 1 energy, snatch it in your hand, and make you look stupid for not progressing your game state whatsoever during your turn. It's a powerful card. I do agree though that people are hyping it up a bit too much. If you're playing a 3-drop on your opponent's turn, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say you didn't do shit on your turn.
Right? Just, like yeah, it's nice you got this guy out, but like that's all you did, and now you're gonna waste so many cards just trying to defend it. When it's just like I'm sorry, but 3 energy is plenty of ways for blue to defend itself all just fine.
And you didn't even need to be on 3 to do that. You could have stayed at like 2 or 1. You could have done something on your turn and then just does what blue does and just keep up 1 energy and fan that shit out to like 3 across the the going of your opponent's turn. There's just not really a reason. Like I said, if I'm wrong, I'll eat my words. I just feel like, again, if you paid 3 energy on my turn, or on my turn, you didn't do anything the previous turn. If you didn't do anything the previous turn, you didn't progress the board state. You didn't progress the board state. What are you doing? Losing.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's where I'm on. It's like I'm open to being wrong, and like maybe the way the meta pans out, like actually makes this a really good card. I just don't think it is. Especially like you said, I hadn't even considered that. Like if Red's coming in, I hope you like Crown because you're gonna be seeing it. So like I don't know. It's it's a card that lives in this position where it's like it does a bunch of cool things, but it just doesn't in practice. I think really accomplish what it set out to do, without you like negging really hard and then maybe being able to squeak out a win afterwards. He's a 20k triple striker that like hard to get rid of, but nevertheless, that's like it I don't know. I just don't think it's it. But it's an interesting card nonetheless. I mean, we're having a conversation about it, so
You ain't
um
lying.
yeah. However, that's pretty much it in regards to blue. They obviously got a bunch of commons and uncommons and things that like enable the Whis and Goku archetypes. But those were the most like interesting things that blue was looking to do out of this set in terms of Realm of the Gods. Moving onwards, though, we do have yellow, and shocker, yellow is still looking incredibly good. Kicking us off, first off, we have Trunks will be piloting the one of the yellow decks in this set. Auto, when this card attacks, you get to draw a card, activate main. If you have 2 or more energy, and you choose one yellow Vegeta card in your battle area and place it under this card, flip this card over. If you do, draw 1 card, then add cards from your life to your hand until you have 6 life. Otherwise, you can just awaken at 4 life and draw 2 cards. So alternate awakening, you're awakening on turn 2 probably almost every single time because of the way that this deck gets built. Super solid. And then on the awaken side, we have SSB Vegeta and SS Trunks Father Son Onslaught. So on the awaken side, he is now a Vegeta also, which I don't know if it has too much relevance in yellow, but there is something to note there. Maybe there might be some Vegeta support down the line that matters more for having a Vegeta leader. Auto, when this card attacks, you may draw 1 card. If you don't, choose up to 1 yellow Vegeta, yellow Trunks Future, or yellow Bulma card in cost of 1 in your hand, or drop and play it in rest mode. And then auto, once per turn, when a yellow battle card activates an EX skill from your hand, draw 1. Now, this is pretty relevant in yellow just because we've had the Whis archetype do a lot of EX Evolve stuff itself. So, this deck working in that realm means that there is a slew of support that the deck already has access to. Nevertheless, the new stuff it has. And then activate battle. Once per turn, place 1 card from under this card in its owner's drop area. This card gets 10k power and double strike for the battle. So effectively, you can pitch the Vegeta to turn it into a 25k double striker. Pretty good. Just innately having that on the leader is very relevant. And he's a yellow Saiyan, so you can run turtles in him and all the other yellow good stuff. Oy.
It's facts. It's definitely facts.
Yep. We talked about this card on my team's team talk earlier last week, and effectively, like I gave a really boring response, and it's just because like this deck's gonna be good. It's a good yellow leader. It has a solid archetype surrounding it that doesn't take too many cards if you don't want it to. So like, yeah, it's gonna be good because yellow's extremely good, and this is a good archetype. It's just gonna be solid. The leader's solid. He draws a bunch of cards. I mean, the support cards are all pretty decent as well. So in general, I think this leader's gonna see play. It'll be another variant of a yellow leader that is probably decently pushed and is gonna see a good amount of play.
Yeah, I've actually been doing some testing with it. It's it's interesting. It's got the offense, but I was already saying like these yellow decks only need to be a 6.5, 7 out of 10 on offense for them to be good decks because yellow's defense will carry them. The way yellow's set up right now, you're not attacking. On 1 energy, they can stop 3 attacks. On 2 energy, they can shut down an entire turn. It's simply just the way it's set up that they are not going to be able to, like, other decks don't break through. Yellow's defense is easy. So if yellow gets an archetype that allows it to attack and that archetype doesn't take up 40 cards in the deck, you're going to be sitting in a situation where the archetype will do its work and yellow will do its work. And that is all you need for a good deck. So to be honest, I would call the Trunks deck almost a mid-tier deck only because yes, it has some amazing, like you set up very well. You put a barrier blocker Poutine on board. You set up a very, very strong 35k critical that can turn to a triple strike at the flip of a like switch. But without yellow being yellow, the deck gets ran over very harshly in terms of aggressing it. But because yellow is yellow, that's a thing. So
Yeah.
I like the deck. It's just we have a ban list coming up, and I can't in good faith invest all in on this deck before we know that bit.
Well, you won't have to. I mean, considering that it releases in March, so odds are we'll probably know what the ban list is before that.
Oh, 100%. I'm talking about my soul, my heart,
Oh,
my
your
soul.
heart? Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah, that's true. Very true. And just to bring it together, when we're talking about the 35k crit, they actually got a really good SR in SSB Vegeta and SS Trunks Father Son Bonds. I'm really wondering what the SPR is going to. I don't like the SR at all. I think it looks like they're about to hug each other or like they're looking intently in each other's eyes. I don't know.
What you got against that? Yeah,
I
a father can't look his son in the eyes of
I
love.
got I got nothing against a love
We're about to
between a
cancel
father and a
Espira.
son. No,
To cancel this, man.
I got nothing against it. Just I don't know. The art for this card ain't doing it for me. It doesn't feel very bondly.
Interesting.
But nevertheless, it is a 35k critical. Activate main for 2 yellow if you have 3 or more energy and you choose 1 yellow Vegeta and 1 yellow Trunks in your battle area. Play this card from your hand and then place the chosen cards under. So it's like a Patara fusion without being a Patara fusion. Activate battle, limit 1, place 2 cards from under this card in its owner's drop area, draw 1 card, then choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards and rest 1, KO them, and then this card gains triple strike for the battle. So effectively, this archetype is very like, not, I wasn't gonna say glass cannon, but like it sets up the deck to be able to do these big one-shot hits. So like your leader has like an opportunity for a big double strike swing at battle speed. The SR has an opportunity for a huge triple strike swing at battle speed. And that's like the offensive tempo that this deck brings. And then, like Chris was saying, around all the yellow defensive cards means that this deck is going to, if it needs to, go to turns 4, 5, 6. But generally speaking, this deck is probably gonna be solid. But again, the ban list will dictate how hard yellow gets hit, and I'm saying will get hit because there's no way that yellow doesn't get something touched. But
Don't say
nevertheless, bro, why? So that I don't jinx it, like.
For real.
But yeah, this is gonna be super solid. But again, it's just more yellow Saiyan stuff, and that's basically what the whole archetype revolves around. Finally, though, and I think I saw a poll, and I'm not surprised. This is probably the deck that people are the most excited about, besides arguably maybe Red Universe 7, is Zamasu, the Wish Leader, a 10k. When this card attacks, add up to 2 Dragon Ball cards from your deck and or life to your hand. Shuffle any areas you look through using this skill. And then wish when your life is at 3 or less, or there's 7 Dragon Balls. So the alternative is always nice in case you really, really break on your balls. And you're facing up an aggressive deck. You get to draw 1 card, but then place all Dragon Ball cards from your drop area to the bottom of your deck. So you have to find them again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have SS Rose Goku Black, wishes fulfilled. So it's a Zamasu on the front, Goku Black on the backside. Activate main once per turn, you get to draw a card, or you get to get a Dragon Ball from your deck, or you get to remove 7 Dragon Balls once you've found them all over again. Put them from your drop to out of the game. If you do, play up to 1 Zamasu card with an energy cost of 2 or less and indestructible from your warp, and then this card gains triple attack for the turn. Just off the front, like the leader's okay. It doesn't do anything crazy, but the cards that it synergizes with are really, really solid.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of like that. And to be honest, I'm not really mad at that because when a leader is too snapped, then generally you then have to start looking like a snapped leader is a lot harder to moderate than a snapped archetype. So I'm not that mad. This leader seems mad. Now, if we get some cards that work really well with it, that's going to be great. But like I said, it's a lot easier to hit archetype cards than it is just a snap leader, especially if that leader is fairly generic, because then you just have Soul Striker issues. You have Mecha Frieza issues. Like Mecha Frieza's banned, Soul Striker is. I mean, look, we've had enough cards banned for the limitation of design space, and Soul Striker has been doing that since its release. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like I don't like I agree with you. I don't actually mind where this leader is going so far. and it leaves its space open to let its archetype cards do the interesting things, which is really cool. The Dragon Ball that this deck is basically getting is Coercion, which is like weird because there's no Dragon Ball in it, but I understand the point. Where against Dragon Ball in all areas, it costs 0, and basically you get to cycle. You send a Zamasu to your warp, or a Goku Black or Zamasu to your warp to then draw 2 cards. So and then the Zamasu has this thing where you can pay 1 to get it back from your warp. So it effectively pluses 1 once you get to that point. Also, you could end up playing. You'll probably end up playing this in blue yellow because the blue yellow Zamasu is an incredibly good card. And then Desire that brings it together. You get to play up to 1 Zamasu when energy costs 2 or less, and use and indestructible from your warp. So those are the Desire and Dragon Balls that come with, like, basically, most Wish decks end up getting their own. That's it. They're okay, but the biggest thing that we're looking to do is to fuse Goku Black and Zamasu together to make Fuse Zamasu. And the Fuse Zamasu is actually pretty dope. We go into the 5-drop, and then from the 5-drop, we go into the 9-drop SR. So Fuse Zamasu, Divine Condemnation, 5 cost, 1 specified blue, 1 specified yellow, 20k, Energy Exhaust, Unique, Indestructible, Blocker, Aegis Blue Yellow, OPT. When this card activates Aegis, you get to choose up to 1 of your opponent's non-leader cards and switch to rest mode. Activate battle for blue yellow if your leader is a Zamasu or Goku Black card, and there's at least 1 Zamasu card and 1 Goku Black card in your combo area. You get to play this. So it has Goku Black Zamasu Arrival, and then it's a blocker. You can't get rid of it. It is unique though, and it has Aegis, which means we'll be untapping energy and then resting 1 of our opponent's battle cards for doing so, which is decent. So 2 energy, we go into the 5-drop, and then from that we then go into the 9-drop Fuse Zamasu Exterminating Force for an additional 4 energy to EX Evolve on top. 35k, and then the keywords on this one are Unique, Double Strike, Indestructible, and Blocker. So he's a blocker again anyways. He's a double striker, has Aegis Blue Yellow, and then this time around, when this card activates Aegis, you get to draw 1 card, switch it to active mode, and then choose 1 of your opponent's cards and switch it to rest. So basically just a pumped up version of the 5-drop. And then finally, if your leader card is Zamasu or Goku Black, you get to get rid of its energy exhaust.
Hooray. No, I mean, that last part is actually cool. But it's like, it's kind of wild because, like, for a little bit, I don't know, Bandai's been kind of in this weird space where they're, like, making, like, boss cards less terrible to, like, charge, but you're charging a boss card. So, like,
well, it lines up really, especially in the Zamasu, because, like, if you're playing this, you're playing blue yellow, obviously, and then, like, you only really need to charge the first one you see. So if you get stuck with the first one in your hand, from there, if you want to keep charging blue yellow, you can just keep charging the eliminator at that point on, if you in a matchup where it doesn't really use, like, it just having the 1 non-energy exhaust on turn 1 actually makes a pretty big difference tempo wise for this deck.
That's fair.
So it's actually more useful than it seems, because, like, this does feel like the type of deck where you might want to see 4 of them just to make sure you see them. And at least if you do see multiple copies of your unique boss monster, the biggest thing is that at least you can charge the rest, especially since he's got indestructible. So, like, one, he's got unique and indestructible. So 1, there's no way it's leaving your board, and 2, even if you wanted to, you couldn't play a second one anyways. So the rest are duds. But it's a play you can make on turn 4. So you want to probably run maximum copies so that you can see it. So it's all right. I mean, it's cool. The Aegis is powerful. I've seen some people compare this, like, yo, how come they got rid of Bojack? Because, like, this is basically Bojack. And I'm like, you're high. this costs 6 energy across 2 battle cards, and it only rests a card. You're not no.
You said you're high. I'm done.
like, don't get me wrong, guys. This card's good, but it is significantly harder to get out than Bojack. So I don't have too much to say about the archetype. I'm not like a Zamasu / Goku Black stan as most people in the community are, but I think, hey, I like that they're exploring Wish again. I like to see how they're doing Dragon Balls a little bit differently this time around. The leader's nothing too crazy, but his archetype looks interesting, and if anything, the boss monster seems like it's going to be an annoying card to deal with. I don't know how well poised it is in the meta, but nevertheless, again, it is a yellow leader, so it's still a deck that can run Repose, that can run Power River Super Saiyan, all that stuff. So nevertheless, even if this deck is a 4 or a 5, it is a 7 or 8 because of everything else that it gets. So, and then you get blue. You're incentivized to play blue, so you're probably going to be a bean deck anyhow. So you'll be able to extend your plays and do fun arrival stuff. And you can just run this. You can then run like Kefla, and then all the other blue yellow stuff because you're playing blue yellow anyways. So this is poised to be probably a pretty solid yellow blue yellow deck.
I can feel that. You talked about a few seconds ago being a Zamasu Goku Black stan. If you're a Zamasu stan, I fucks with you, fam. But if you're a Goku Black stan, I think you simple. Like the same people that say that Goku shows up way too often in the show and the card game, just like Toei was just to be like, yo, this man frowning now. And then you guys were like, hey, and then like that's literally like that's it. Like that is it. I could get on a soapbox and say that Goku Black was a completely wasted chance to really cause Trunks some emotional damage. You want to get spicy, guys? You want to know a plot line that could have worked? Imagine if Zamasu exhumed future Gohan's dead body. Or wished it back and took it over. We would have a future Gohan who has more potential than the OG Sans taken over by a god. And I don't know, all the things that Goku Black did with that like key sword, that could have came out of like Gohan's like stump arm. Would have been even cooler. And on top of that, Trunks would have had the PTSD of a lifetime, seeing the face of his mentor pick up his mother by the jaw and just key blast her to ashes. That would have been the start of that season. Like, they wasted a completely good opportunity. And Gohan would have been able to be like, oh, dude, that's just me from another timeline. I got this. He would have gotten smacked, and that would have really lit a fire under his ass.
Oh, yeah.
After he could see the potential of himself.
Okay, I'll remind you at this point in the story, I'll remind you that Gohan was passing out going Super Saiyan, my guy, okay? Like, chill.
That was a little bit before. At this point, Gohan was giving Trunks ice cream, and Trunks was amazed that Gohan was capable of smiling because he hadn't ever seen that shit before. Shoutouts to VSA. Frank was like, Gohan was just like giving Trunks ice cream and Trunks was shook. I was like, bro, Trunks was eating cat food out of the can 2 days prior. Like, ice cream shook this dude. Literally shook him.
Oh god. So that was basically, I mean, we got almost everything. I think there's a couple of cards, arguably a couple of SRs, but for the most part, spoiler season's pretty much done. You know, there's a couple of things that are left to shake up. TPs we haven't seen so far. Those are probably going to shake things up. I suspect the Gogeta ramp deck is probably going to get TP. Naturally, the bootleg Soul Striker deck is going to get TP because right now we got no ways to put cards under that thing. So like, who knows?
For real. You said bootleg Soul Striker, Soul Striker in a
bro,
minute. A minute.
That's gonna be what I call it forever, man. Bootleg coup, you know. And then so we are seeing that there are probably going to be TPs with some very probably very tied down to archetypes, which means this TP set is looking that it could be a little bit expensive depending on how many people are trying to jump onto these decks. But nevertheless. What do you think? What are you gonna play? What's piquing your interest in terms of picking up new decks when the set actually releases? Now that we have like a decent perspective of what everything looks like.
If Icarus doesn't get clapped, it's still Icarus. Let me put that out there. Understand. So yeah, it's definitely still Icarus if Icarus doesn't get clapped, and if Icarus does get clapped. Black Trunks is very, very, very strong. Very strong. Its ability to overwhelm 6 every turn past turn 3 is very, very strong. Like, on average, the moment you get to turn 3, you should be putting out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 7 attacks per turn. If your opponent doesn't, like, actually from 0, if you're starting out every turn with just a unison, and your leader in play, 3 energy will put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you'll be swinging 7 turns or 7 times. Now, if they don't answer the Trunks SR and they don't kill like a thwarting that's on your field, then you can put 2 energy for another Trunks and you can still play a 6 drop. And so automatically that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 if you play fighting against Fate. 9, 10. Yeah, like it's ridiculous. The amount of pressure that deck can put out. Now, granted, we're getting more and more floodgates that send you wide. And that's a huge, huge issue because going wide sucks when you have to discard 2 per swing. But yeah, don't let this deck catch you lacking. Like it can put out 7 attacks from nothing per turn. And I really do like that deck a lot. It's got a lot of utility, and I think it's got the like potential to go further mid game, especially with like the pay for 8-drop Gogeta, SS4 thwarting stuff like that. I mean, Trunks is really good too, but if yellow gets hit to the point where Icarus can't be used, I'm not gonna really be trying to play Trunks.
Mm.
I'm gonna put it out there again. If you guys want to prove me wrong, prove me wrong. U7, I think, is a trap.
Yo,
Um,
yo,
I
actually,
really do. I feel like it. So, U7 is a deck that doesn't really go mid range. Like it has some mid range cards, right? But it's a mill deck. It's a burst 3 deck. You're going to be putting the top probably about 12 cards or so minimum into your deck. And then on top of that, your 17s, they search from the top. You're gonna cantrip. If you're playing the 1-drop Gohans, you're gonna search. Your leader is gonna draw, things like that. There's all sorts of things. But this deck is not made to go long. Once you're at turn 5, you're gonna be like at a point where you're gonna be worried about how you even use your draws because you don't have that many times to do that. If you get Oceanus, it's almost a hard stop. Like it's just a straight up hard stop. And the thing about this deck is since it's so tuned to being an early game, like first 3 turns of the game, closing out with the SR on turn 4, maybe turn 5, or sorry, the SCR on turn 4 or turn 5, you're at a point where your most impactful turns are turns 2 and 3. And granted, on turn 2, you can put a good leader, Android 17 with double strike, Frieza with dual attack. Yeah, on turn 2, you could put a good 4 damage on board, actually 5 damage on board with correct combos. Turn 3, you could drop double Divine Presence, and if they haven't answered your board, you're really just laying into their ass. But to have these explosive U7 turns, you have to have consistent mills. And everything that's good about red that's not U7, your Crowns of Retributions, your Violent Rays. If you decide to play Unisons, which I actually don't even like in the deck because they kill your consistency when it comes to your milling, you have to play cards that could hinder your mills in order to make it a more consistent, valuable red deck. And if you do play those cards, your offense lacks. And if you don't play those cards, then your utility lacks. And so I think it's a weird deck where you have to build one way or another, and either one puts you in very weird positions this format. If you're trying to build a mid-range deck, you wouldn't want to play a deck that mills itself. You might as well just be playing Gohan or Vegeta because they'll maintain their deck size and can live up to those long times or those later turns. If you're going to play Goku, like I said, you want to make sure that your turns 2 and 3 are super powerful, and that doesn't include milling a Violent Rays and a Broly Crown of Retribution in 1 Universe 7 and not being able to play any of your cards.
Mm.
So that's kind of where I stand on that. I think that the deck is going to be tricky to build, and there's a lot of variance involved. The same deck you can burst 3 and discard 1, and the next turn burst 3, discard 1, and have 7 Universe 7s engraved, go off King. The same deck, you could do the same exact play and only have 4 Universe 7s in deck and not be able to play 17 or Frieza, and you just look like an idiot. So that's scary for me. And so because of that, I kind of do feel like Universe 7 is a bit of a trap. And it's extremely linear too. It's very, very linear. Like Yellow's current defense game can probably handle that deck very badly.
Mm.
So that's kind of where I stand on it. If that changes, it changes. But again, like nothing feels worse than like being like, okay, well, I'm gonna mill 3, and you're like crown, a negate, and I don't know, whatever somebody else is playing, and you're like, well, I'm gonna discard a U7. Your next mill, you're like U7, U7, a non U7, and you discard a U7. That's not enough. That is not enough. You will play a 17 with no double strike. He'll be able to search, but it's a 15k. He gets removed by almost every piece of removal in the game, and you didn't pressure your opponent the way they need to be pressured. It's it's gonna be interesting, but I think U7 is, even though you don't need to build it super archetype like to have it function, in terms of effects, you need to build it super archetype like to have these summoning conditions and sparking conditions met.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's just me.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Um, yeah. Alternatively, even if that's probably true, my number one game plan in terms of Realm of the Gods is 100% turn my brain off and just burst and swing, baby. Whoa!
Hey, let's go. Let's go.
It has been a hot minute since I've played a turn my brain off deck. Um, I don't play aggro all that often, but the few aggro decks I do play, I enjoy a lot. So I'm definitely looking excited to. One, I'm just a U7 stan in general, so just being able to jump back into playing some U7 stuff is gonna be super excited. Any excuse to play that Vegeta, honestly, or the Vegeta SCR is a really good one for me, especially. I'm crying on the inside because, bro, I know I'm gonna have to get that God Rare, and my wallet cries so badly.
Get lucky.
Yeah, well, or I get lucky. Maybe the one box that my sponsor gives me will have it. But like the worst part is I'm gonna play with it, right? Because I'm a player. I play my high rarity cards. I'm not even like, I know I'm gonna make some people like cringe with the fact that, like, bro, you should be like putting that in a case or something. I'm like, nah. We just play with the cards out here. So U7, super excited about. Probably gonna try variation of builds. Try it with Gohan. Try it with Vegeta. Like maybe you just use some of the U7 cards that are like moderately decent in the later game instead. There are ways that I think, but like you said, like you gotta be careful because like you have to cut on your utility to be more consistent. But the more consistent you are, then the less utility you have, and then that doesn't actually let you be able to do things like close out the game and such. Especially if you have a clunky start. So it'll be interesting to see where that lands. But it is a deck that's going to be, you're just going to have to see where the ban list takes us to in terms of what we're going to do with the deck. Otherwise, Champa is interesting. Beerus is interesting. Sorry, Champa, we can forget about Champa. He's got the two worst life totals in the game. He starts at 5, which is the second worst life total, and then he awakens at the worst life total. So like I don't I don't believe in Champa whatsoever. But I will say that yeah.
No, I just said, hey, look, I ain't
Yeah,
gonna.
I bet. But Champa seems interesting. I want to build a blue-green Champa that doesn't actually care about the field card and just utilize the best parts of him as a generic green leader that can like free play cards and do a little bit of incidental hand destruction. And like if you bean him, he's like unkillable. So like those are going to be, I think, the two biggest things I'm interested for. Trunks has me interested in playing black because he's a non-interactive draw variant of what all the black leaders are doing. So maybe I take a peep at that. But for the most part, I think those are the things I'm most interested in. If there's some spicy builds, I'll try out something because I like putting spice out on the streams and stuff. I guess Vegeta BR ramp. I think it's not there. It's missing a piece, and maybe it comes into TP or something. But like to play BR ramp right now with the Vegeta leader just isn't there. It's missing something. So I'm gonna just keep that leader in my peripherals until we get some additional support release to make it more worthwhile. But those are basically the things I'm looking at the set. I have everything that yellow uses, so like if I guess I could play Trunks or Zamasu if I wanted to, but we'll see what I end up pulling out of a couple of boxes, and maybe if I have the stuff I need for it, I throw it together for a stream.
That's fair. Now hear me out. Hear me out, okay?
Yeah.
What if the field card, I think, is kind of a necessary like little bit when it comes to some of these things? Because like, all right, the field card, you don't want to base it around the field card. But like the first time your opponent loses a card to your field, they're gonna be like, well, that sucks. The second time they do it, they're gonna be like, that sucks. Now, when you're at 3 battle cards under there, they're gonna be in a weird position where they don't want to allow you to win the field card. But playing battle cards puts them in a position to where you can potentially swipe game from them on a gimmick. And all of these cards seem to get abilities when your opponent has no battle cards.
Right.
So it's like, do you want to lose to my field card, or do you want to get lay swung on by like this 25k critical double strike?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, like
So
I'm
I feel
not.
like it kind of burns it from both ends.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Like, it creates a position where like the field's not the most consistent way you're probably going to win your games, but it provides an alternative situation. So like maybe we include the field card or whatever, but I just want to. It's more so to say that the deck wouldn't be built around the field card. But you could include it. Like, I got no issues with including it, especially since it has some defensive ability also to force your opponent to swing into something else. So like there's benefits there.
Oh, I forgot about that. No, we definitely got to include the field card. It literally forces the ladder of your battle cards.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that. Like, these battle cards are doo doo, but you can force your opponent to swing into those battle cards. And you're
Yeah.
like, haha, level up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're playing the field card.
It's a 2 of. It's a 2 of.
Yeah,
just so
yeah.
it doesn't get caught in life.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing. Like you include it and you can run it if you can, but generally the green stuff excites me just because it's weird, and I always play the weird stuff. So maybe get some messing around there. But that's pretty much it in terms of the reveals, Realm of the Gods, what we're looking forward to. Naturally, there are a couple more reveals, so maybe we'll have some last crazy things to talk about. We still don't know what the God Rare are, we don't know what the TPs are, so there's still a lot of conversation, and the viability of all the decks that we've seen so far aren't decided whatsoever. We've just kind of seen the most of it, and given that, that's kind of like where we're standing on things. But the last little tidbit to talk about today, everyone's been talking about it. It seems like everyone's making a video of it. And even mine, by the time this podcast releases, mine will have gone up yesterday. Banlist predictions. Now, we don't need to do like a deep dive because I think at this point, I think the community, oddly enough, I do actually think the community is like 90% agreeing on like most aspects that need to get touched, right? I think if I'm looking to kickstart the conversation, yellow needs something done, and I think we have a couple of critical cards there. Realm of the Gods is introducing us echo fighters of cards we already have, so odds are they are pinned for a banning. And then there's a couple of stragglers from cards that people feel were missed, and I feel like we're missing the last couple of ban lists that could get hit today. But the biggest thing is yellow, and here's the thing: I don't want them to kill yellow. I don't think we need it. I don't actually think yellow is broken. I think yellow is just overtuned, and I think you need to bring it down a peg, and maybe touch some of the cards that are kind of gluing everything together. So when we're talking about that, I think Power of a Super Saiyan, because what does Power of a Super Saiyan does? Well, not only does Power of a Super Saiyan plus the Icarus leader means that for effectively 3, you're preventing like 3 attacks. But it also turns on your Poutine. It turns on a Bergamo if you've got it. And then with the Poutine, now you have Slug, which prevents your opponent from being able to draw into outs. And now you've created like this whole big situation. So for me, I think Power of a Super Saiyan is something that forces. Oh yeah, and then just the fact that they use Power of a Super Saiyan means that basically on turn 2 they have Robotic Riposte live for 1 energy.
And Steadfast.
And Steadfast, right? So like I think Power of a Super Saiyan, you touch that card. I think it forces yellow to run. I mean, mind you, there's still other phenomenal yellow extra cards they could use, but it forces yellow to have to work slightly harder for its thing, So you hit that. Poutine's obviously getting hit because it's getting a bunch of things. So I think hits like those where like yellow is still gonna be an incredibly good color, but you don't make it free for yellow to be this incredibly good is like the big things that we should be looking towards.
I agree. Power of a Super Saiyan is it's a gatekeeper. It stops things. It stops these coming to play during your battle things. It is an extra card that fills, and it does it for free, so you don't have to and it cantrips. There's a lot of dumb-ish that happens with it. So I agree. Like, it definitely needs to not have the same amount of utility. I think for me, it's kind of simple. Power of a Super Saiyan, I would like to see it at least semi-limited. If it got banned, I wouldn't cry, but if it got semi-limited, I wouldn't feel as bad. Because consistency is a thing too. If yellow doesn't get the extra cards engraved for the first 2-3 turns of the game, their defense is not going to feel like it is. And that's a window where you can definitely punch in on them. So really, yeah, Power of a Super Saiyan, at least semi-limit. I need to see Fu banned.
Thank
but
you.
Shrouded in Mystery is like the champion versus yellow, so that's kind of annoying. But yellow can use it too, so that's where it gets annoying on both sides. But legitimately, is crappy as Fu Shrouded in Mystery is, sometimes like that's the only thing stopping yellow from wombo combo defending your ass into oblivion. And so for that, I give him his medal. but he's a war crime at this point. Like he just needs to not do what he does so strongly. Um, what else do I feel like needs to go? Piccolo Jr. The unison is kind of toxic. Like we're getting away from a meta where we just want to sit here and negate people all day. But at some point, negates are going to come back into style. When they do, Piccolo will be there stroking his non-Namekian genitalia because they reproduce asexually, waiting to destroy your entire board just because you're swinging, turning your card sideways as aggressive decks do.
The fact that his auto is not once per turn blows my mind.
I think his auto could have been like a limit too, and it would have been okay. But like it's infinite. Like, and even like though it's like oh my gosh, it's bad. Like, how do you make a whole freaking rotation of counter blockers and just have Piccolo sitting there like licking his lips? Like I'm gonna pay a life to counter your attack and make a blocker. Piccolo, I'll eat that. You're like, huh? Yep. All right. Got you. And like all these cards that you want to be like super strong, Piccolo just like stops them from existing. He's like, I'm gonna riposte you. It's like, okay, I'll eat that. All right, cool. Sounds good. And because of the way triggers work in this game, you can stack things. Like somebody could counterplay you with a 30k, like if it ever existed. You could literally be like, well, Yamcha. And while I'm at it, Piccolo, and then guess what? Your 30k just got waxed by a freaking auto on a unison, and you had to like it's pretty wild. Like that is actually pretty wild. So I said like that can't happen, but that could literally be a baby ape. Piccolo could wax a baby ape as long as you had Yamcha in hand too. So yeah, all in all, Piccolo Jr. is one of those cards where just because he's not in the meta doesn't mean he's not toxic. Thwarting should probably catch a semi-limit. You should not be able to open up with thwarting as consistently as you can. I understand it being a boss card. And the reason why I say semi is because, yes, I just don't want it to be open. If you recycle it, you recycle it. If you overwhelm 6 for the Beyond All Limits Goku and you take it from your warp, you're at least using cards to get it back. Like you're at least trying to expend cards to do what you're going to do. But you shouldn't be able to open it with it and your opponent removes it. And you're just like, okay, I'm just going to play another one. Like thwarting's a little too sleek for it being at 4. So my things are mostly limits. I don't think many things need to get banned except Piccolo Jr. Like Piccolo Jr. can get banned. Fu, Shrouded in Mystery can get banned. Power of a Super Saiyan could go, but I think it needs a semi. Riposte could probably see a semi. And then I just want Yellow's defense to be a little less consistent because last night it really hit home. I was playing one of my friends. He's testing Icarus against just whatever deck I wanted to try from set 16. And for 3 turns in a row, I had 7 to 9 attacks on board. And I couldn't force them past 4 life. That's insane.
That's tough.
Like, that is literally insane. Like, between Poutine, between Steadfast, between Power of a Super Saiyan, between Riposte, I could not force 3 straight turns of amassing up to about 7 to 9 attacks per. Like, and there's never got through. When attack finally got through, every card in his deck has been cantripping. And so he was able just to be like, yeah, I'll actually just combo now. And that's not how the game should work. Not to mention the whole point, we had a little argument about Turles. Because I personally believe that Turles should cost 1 extra energy. I do not believe that Yellow should be able to pay 2 to get around a problem that Yellow has had since the dawn of time. And that's that Yellow can tap all your crap. But at one point, Yellow's going to ask itself, wow, I really can't remove any of this. How do I win and still maintain this defense? Because at some point, the board they negated 3 times is still there, and they have to, not die to like 12 swings. But with Turles, you're able to pay 2 energy, which is far too undercosted in my opinion, to blow up 2 of their biggest threats that you tapped or that went sideways last turn and you negated. And that's just a little too big because 2 energy is simply not enough. You have 4 energy, you use 2 energy. Yellow needs 1 energy to stop 3 attacks. On 2 energy, Yellow can shut down your entire offensive plays for the turn. So if Turles only costs 2, he's always leaving Yellow in a space where they don't have to choose between mitigating your board and shutting down your turn. They just do both. And that gets stronger every turn from then on in the game. 5 energy is more than enough for them to play Turles, play Basil, poke with their entire board, and then still have 2 energy open for next turn. Like, it's just a little too strong in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. It's also so incredibly versatile, right? And that's the thing. Like you can just, if there's not two cards to pop, or if you don't even want to pop, well, you know what? How about you take a draw, and then that's tied into a very well statted 20k double striker. So it's, yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair. I could see that in terms of like a change. But it all comes around the same theme of like something needs to be done about yellow.
Yeah.
So like I don't know what way they're tuning. I don't know if they're leaning more towards errata. I mean, I'm not a big fan of erratas. Um, I'd rather they just ban and print newer versions of the cards that they got rid of personally, because I think the more erratas we have, the harder it is for people to come into the game. And I also not the biggest fan of limits, because the limited list feels like it kind of makes the game clunky. But like I'm not, like I never came from Yu-Gi-Oh, so like maybe I'm just not adapted to things typically being limited. But
Just hurts the consistency. That's really all they're
yeah,
trying to do with the limit. They want to hurt the consistency. They don't want to ruin the card, because some of these cards, it's like if you draw it early, mid game, and you hold out that card until it really matters, until it breaks the game, you should be rewarded for that as a player. They just don't want you slamming the card literally every time you see it because you have four of them or three of them in Yu-Gi-Oh's case, and it's just so good. They want you to be like, okay, like it's at two. You can't just afford to ram this into your opponent, have them survive the play, and then you be out of one of the best cards in your deck. You need to wait until you think the green lights are on, which I think is healthier for some of these cards. Like it's just really strong to be using riposte every single time you feel like you need to press the button, knowing that you have four more in deck. Like yesterday, that game I was talking about, I looked at my opponent's graveyard and he had gone through four Power of a Super Sands and four Steadfast, and he had charged one of the Steadfast. And like again, I just wasn't able to break through. He'd only used one riposte, and so I was like, I'm about to get riposted. There's no way with 15 cards left in his deck, I'm not about to run into a riposte after I've gone through four Power of a Super Sands and three Steadfast.
yeah.
Like that shit hurted. Like it was just like, am I supposed to play the game?
And all this stuff draws, man. Steadfast draws, Power of Super Saiyan draws, Turtles draws. Like, why does every single card in yellow draw? Like, oh my
Because they want to
god.
make sure that while Icarus's pot of greeting every turn, you're not losing anything outside of that.
Oy. Uh, um, but yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Tune yellow, Fu. I need, like, I understand a lot of people are like, yo, but Fu helps close out games. I'm like, yeah, but if we have a problem, like if our game is in a place where we can't close out games unless we literally turn off our opponent's deck, then we have a significant problem with our game.
No, that's only yellow though. Blue will fold to enough aggression.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like every other color will fold to enough pressure. It's simply yellow. Yellow will stop your entire shit. It start at 14 cards in hand, end at 14 cards in hand. And you need Foo. You literally need Foo. Like yellow is the reason why Foo is if Foo leaves the game right now, yellow is just is goaded. Like it
Guys,
actually just like
eating,
gains
bro.
godhood. It goes from demigod to like full blown god status. It's awful.
Yeah. Ugh. But otherwise, I think, yeah, like that's. I mean, I think Poutine's gonna get the strap, but that's because we got like two different Poutines in this main set, and then Soul Striker, I'm worried about. And like I think eventually Soul Striker needs to go, but I think Blue needs tools to be a better. Blue needs better tools to be able to allow it to have variety in what it's trying to do, for us to see archetype leaders start to see play. Besides everyone just using Soul Striker,
Mhm.
I think Galactic Buster was, while yes it was played in every blue deck, when Galactic Buster around we saw 5 blue leaders see play. Now we only see one, and why is that? Because now that blue again has the issue that it can't interact with your opponent's board in a efficient way, means that it needs to rely on just playing the absolute most value game, and the one that does that the best is Soul Striker. So I agree that eventually Soul Striker needs to go, because it does live in the same realm that Mecha Frieza, Yellow Broly, and all these other generic leaders that did eventually go live. It restricts design space because of how it does it so generically incredibly good, especially in a world where unisons are a focus for them, and then we have things like the Grand Priest and the Beerus, which make Soul Striker look incredibly powerful. So I think it does need to go eventually, but I would like to see them bring tools to blue that would fix the issue blue has, which forces everyone to only be playing Soul Striker. And in doing so, then I would be okay with seeing Soul Striker goes. But if Soul Striker goes with what we've seen so far, then blue's just not going to see play. I mean, I'll force it because I love blue, but blue reliably won't see play at any point in Realm of the Gods. IMO.
Is that so?
I mean, I'm okay with eating my words, but yeah, that's where I stand on that. If Soul Striker goes, we're not seeing blue getting played. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try Life Trunks. I'm going to try maybe Zamasu. And like maybe I try Whis or something like that. So I'll give it a try, and I'm okay with either proving myself wrong or someone else proving me wrong. But I definitely feel like blue would be in a really tough spot if it wasn't for Soul Striker right now.
Nah, sir. You know what's about to happen, though?
Mm.
What's about to happen, sir, is we're going to see them TP. We're about to see them TP shoving mad hits.
I forgot that I had on top of getting whatever cards I need for the set, I forgot I need to set aside like $500 on TP's next set.
Yeah, we about to get in there, mate. Like we're about to get in there, bud. It's about to be wild. All right, it's about to be wild, and it's about to be wonky. But we're gonna get 3 blue cards that turn this Goku from 0 to hero. And Soul Striker is going to get banned, and this Goku is about to go crazy, and life will be good.
You know what? If that's the case, then fine. Then if Goku had to be pinned on the cross to make blue thrive in such a way, hopefully not too expensive a way, then so be it. I'm pretty okay with that at the end of the day.
Oh?
Yeah, I believe in the health of the game. Here's the thing. I'm the type of player who will play all the broken shit. But I won't be a hypocrite about it. I'll say, yo, this shit needs to get banned. Like, yeah, like I used to pull up at locals when like Set 4 came out. And like I'd tell all my locals as we were chatting before pregame, like, yo, swap's stupid. That shit needs to go. It's ridiculous. It like dying on turn 2 is so dumb. And then my opponent sits down round 1. I'm like, hey, yo, what's up? Like, what's your leader? I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm playing Blue Hurugard. You know, so like, don't get me wrong. Like, I very much play degenerate shit because I love degenerate shit, but I'll be the first one to say it needs to go. So like, I've got no issues if my favorite stuff needs to go, if it's actually a problem.
Fucks with it. You have to bleep that out, my bad. Oh man.
So as for today, the SC mailbag is empty. It's been a quiet week this week. So of course, guys, if you guys ever want us to answer your questions on air, then you guys can either jump into my Discord in the channel SC mailbag, or you can tweet at myself or Chris with the hashtag SC mailbag, and we'll get your question on air. But since that was pretty much it, anything you want to say before we close out today's show, my good friend?
Really, this is a really, really good set. In my opinion, it is. We've been talking about the reverse power creep for quite some time. We've been getting dusted by the reverse power creep for quite some time. The only thing that could make this set ineffectual is if our ban list is ineffectual. So let's put our hands up in the air and pray that the toxicity in the format, the consistency in the format, can get answered in ways that best benefit the competitive metagame, because that really is just kind of where it's going. Like if yellow is answered correctly and some other cards outside of yellow, because let's be real, it's not enough to what's the word for it? It's not enough for these things to just be bodied out of the format. You can't just cut off the very top of the ridiculousness. You have to also kind of not just, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to look beyond just the top level of toxicity. Because like I said, you ban yellow, but you keep in food. That's not fair. You ban yellow, or you hurt yellow badly, but you keep in Piccolo. Like, that's not fair. Like, you just gotta, it's things like that. It's things like that.
Yeah, just go a level bit deeper and recognize that, okay, we can't just touch the immediate stuff, but then we need to look a level deeper and see like, okay, so if this gets hit, you know, how does that impact everything else, and what will that look like? And then I think if we go that second level deeper and we impacted things that we need to look on there, I think we'll be in a really good place, because I think it's a very skill intensive format. Even if yellow is insanely cracked, I think the better player tends to walk out of that exchange doing so. So if we can just tune the color so that there's a little bit more balance power level wise, and yellow doesn't get to do anything for free, I think the game is in a really, really good spot. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the ban list will be. And if it is a ban list that'll have impact, then I think Realm of the Gods will be a fun set to mess around with for sure.
I agree. I definitely agree.
All right. Well, with that said, guys, that was our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Super Combo Podcast. And until we catch you guys next week, best of luck with your top deck, guys.
See ya.